Hey everybody, and welcome to the Harrison County Library's online computer classes. My name is Jeff Conwell. I'm up here at the Orange Grove Public Library, and today's class is going to be on Email 102. For verification purposes, again, you may need access to a cell phone that accepts text messages or an alternate email address before your account is activated. That's going to happen to verify for an email account if you forget your password, or just in the creation of an email account, which we've already done last class. But today's class, what we're going to do is we're going to learn some basic email terms, understand about different email providers, such as Gmail, Yahoo, etc., how to maybe organize your emails, how to retrieve a document or a picture from a received email, and to utilize the address book feature. Here are some basic email terms. You got attachment, BCC and CC, email address, email body, email client, email header, encryption, domain, gigabytes, inbox, phishing, spam, and worm. An attachment is simply a file such as an image, word processing document, or an MP3, an audio file that's sent along with an email. To attach such a file to an email or see whether an email has a file attached to it, look for the paperclip icon. The older ones like AOL just says attach, but most other providers use the paperclip icon to indicate how to attach a file to an email. And what it looks like, this is my Yahoo email inbox. And that little paperclip of all those emails, that's the only one with an attachment in it. That little box that's outlined in red there. Okay? Yeah, you can see that. Okay? Basic email terms again. The BCC and CC. BCC is short for blind carbon copy. And it's a copy of an email address message that's sent to a recipient whose email address does not appear as a recipient in the email message. That way it's hidden, okay? Because if somebody hacks into it, they may find an email address and they can start spamming that person. But if you put BCC, it's going to be blind to the person who receives it. And all three, this box here, all three people will receive the same message, but the one that says BCC, the Rita Albertsberg, her name will not appear in the other two's email address. So if a person's really private and you want to send them something, do the BCC and nobody can see that email address. Email address, of course, is the name for the post box that can receive and send an email message. I've told you before, drop me a line at librarydude@1999@gmail.com. The email body is the main part of an email message that contains the message's text, images, and other data, such as attached files. The email client is the program the provider used to read and send emails. The email header is the first part of any message, including the to and from addresses and subject. And this is what that looks like. Well, sorry. Okay, this is number one right there. Use the mouse. That's the email address written out with the email below it. You see how the email is got there below? And then the number two is the body, which includes the file and the little box, what it is. What the message is in there. Number three is the client. In this case, it's Outlook. And then the header is number four, which is going to be where below you put down the whole thing from the to the subject. And the subject box is where it says new computer classes. So this whole chunk of lines of boxes and what's called fields in the computer world, these 4 fields make up what's called the email header. Okay? Domain name is that part of the email address or website address on the internet that shows the name of the organization that the address belongs to. In this case, g.conwill@harrison.lib.ms.us. That harrison.lib.ms.us is the domain name. Encryption is simply the process of converting information or data into a code, especially to prevent unauthorized access. If you think of the old decoder rings that you might have found in a cereal box, this is what it looks like. What you see and what your recipient sees is different from what a hacker sees. If your email is encrypted, they're going to get a bunch of gobbledygook, hopefully. Hackers are smart. They can do decryption themselves, but most email providers, email clients provide encryption with your email, so it's pretty secure. Just don't let people accidentally get into your inbox and then take over your identity. Gigabytes, which is the memory, 1,000 megabytes is a byte being the size of a basic unit to store info electronically. The average size or limit of data that can be sent through the email is 25 megabytes. So if you try to send something through, say like Google, and you get a message that looks like this, oops, too fast. It says large files that are attachments that are larger than 25 megabytes will be automatically loaded to Google Drive. And remember, even Google Drive has a limit, but what will happen is you get a link to that file on Google Drive. If another person has a Google account, they'll be able to access that file, but it's like squeezing an elephant through a keyhole. If the file is too big, it won't just go over. But Google Drive is really a lifesaver for people who are trying to send major big files to another person or their business or something. They have it stored on Google Drive. But just on as an individual email, it won't go over because it's too big. But anyway, the inbox is the place where the email messages are received. I talked about that a little bit earlier. It's the default location for all incoming mail. So that's what a Gmail inbox looks like. Phishing is a fraudulent practice in which private data is captured on websites or through an email designed to look like a trusted third party. Typically involves an email alerting the user to a problem with their bank account or another account, like a credit card account or an online payment service like PayPal. And you'll see this is an example of phishing that up here at the top where it says acces@up.com is not an actual PayPal account. So they're trying to say, it looks like PayPal, we need your help, update your information. But guess what? When you give them your information, then they have it. So that's another way people steal identity. They'll try to pretend they're somebody they're not to get that information. Because information nowadays, folks, is like money. So be careful with what you put out there or who you reply to. And this is my own personal advice. Whenever you're suspicious about some email, don't reply to it. Because one thing they won't ignore is if you block that person from sending, because all they'll have to do, even though they got a negative response, is change their email out and send it again until it wears you down, and finally you say, okay, what's this? And then you're caught, okay? Spam is unsolicited mail. It's like junk mail and your snail mail. Most spam is sent in bulk to large number of email addresses and advertises some product considerably less often political viewpoint. So this is an example of spam. Okay? Oh. Sorry. A phishing example is, wait, we already did that. Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm having a little navigational problem. This is an example of spam. It's somebody sending you something about ultrasonic mosquito repellent. Ultrasonic mosquito repellent bracelet. So that's something that you know, and I no intention of asking for, but all of a sudden you get this ad for it, and it says there it has a notification there that says some content in this message has been blocked because the sender isn't your sales sender in your sales senders list. So if you trust the content from John.Green at LatinLoverBoys.com, then that means he's going to have your email address. So that's from a library, that's from our Outlook account. You see the kind of stuff we get too. Another big tip is if you make an account just for business spending and stuff like that, when you try to purchase something, it requires you to put an email address. If you do that, then it will attract the spammers, and you can kind of filter them out a lot better than just having an email account for everything. Okay? Basic email terms again. Worm is a program or script that replicates itself directly through a network, typically via an email. Some will form malicious actions, and this is an example of a worm. Let's see if I can get to the next page without jumping all over the place. Validac is a worm that's capable of harvesting and forwarding password information. It spreads in an email attachment. The name of the email attachment is always the same, ecard.exe. The .exe means to execute. It's a program. When you hit enter on that, it's going to start the program that says eCard, but it has nothing to do with an eCard. It's going to, what it does, like I said, harvest and forward password information. And in the subject line, even though it sounds innocuous, sounds harmless enough, it will say something like a Christmas card from a friend or a special card just for you and all the rest. But it is not. It's a virus, a worm. So be very careful of what you open up on your email. Okay? Don't be afraid to use it, but just be wary. Okay? The top email providers of 2021, we went over this last time. We'll go through them again with a comparison. First one is Protonmail. Then you got Gmail. Then you got Outlook. And you got Yahoo, and you got Zoho. Those are the top 5 email providers for 2021. And that's from techradar.com. Protonmail. This is what Protonmail's inbox looks like. They're basically all going to be the same. You got the inbox, and you've got a compose button where you're going to make an email, your inbox, your drafts folder, your sent folder. And I would use, a lot of times I'm looking for an email to make sure it got sent right. I always go to my sent folder if I can't find something, because usually it's the thing that's most recent on my mind. So I'll go to the sent folder to find that email. And they've got folders and labels and organizing it. You can search your email box. I tell people all the time to use this so you don't have to scroll up and down your email inbox to find that one particular email that you're looking for. Just type in the message box what you're looking for. And I'm not going to go into all the details with it. I just want you to see it. And then this is the pros and cons of Protonmail. The pros are it relies heavily on encrypting email data, so it's very secure. It lets you send encrypted emails to anyone, even if they don't use Protonmail. New accounts can end in one of 2 domains, meaning it doesn't have to be protonmail.com, it can be something else. It lets you choose when an email will expire so that That means if you send something out to somebody, after so long of it having been sent, they won't be able to access it. So, and I don't know if you will be able to, you might find it in your sent folder, but anyway, it's like, you remember Mission Impossible, how the message is burnt after reading or listening to? Kind of like that, I guess. The cons are, it doesn't have very much storage. It's only 500 megabytes, which is actually a lot if you're just sending text messages, but if you're sending actual files, like 20 megabytes per pop, that's going to eat it up very quickly, okay? But it's, it doesn't have a lot of storage. This is another thing. It just lets you send only 150 messages per day. I guess if you're a business, you're not going to want to use it because 150 messages, if you're sending out mass emails to people, it would not work. You can't remove the email signature. And the email signature, once you set up, like on my Library Dude account, even though it's not an official email account for the library, it's one that I made up when we used to have a possibly antiquated email site for the library. I came up with librarydude1999@gmail.com because one, I love Gmail, and it was just a no-brainer to say, well, I've worked at the library since 1999. I'm a dude who works at a library, so librarydude1999. And at the bottom of my email addresses, every time I send an email out from that account, you'll see where it says my name, and then it says the library I'm working for, and then it'll say give the hours and location and everything like that. So that's what's called an email signature. And it's very handy if you want people to be able to see how to contact you, if it's a place of business, you got your hours, all that. If you do it with Protonmail, you can't ever change it, okay? And then it says these vacation replies that you have, like you can send something out on a regular basis. If you're gone from the office, it doesn't let you do that. And then you can only make 3 folders or labels. That's not very much, especially if you got stuff like I do, which is a bunch. So that's one of, it's very spare, but it's very secure. Gmail. Okay, Gmail, this is what the inbox looks like. And you've got many different things you're looking at over here. That's your, to hit the plus sign is to compose. You got your inbox, you got your sent folder, you got all these different icons for things. You can just, these are labels of stuff that you've already created. My favorite thing to use with Gmail is all mail because I can't half the time, I do have a problem navigating through everything in email, like archiving something and it disappears. Mainly, I want to just see right there what's in my email, go through it as needed, and maybe organize it. I'm not the best in the world for tips on organizing, but it's, it's good in a lot of ways. I'm still working with it. I'm like you, I don't know everything about all this stuff. I just know what works for me. I can recommend it to you, and if you got a problem, I might even have the same problem. So drop me a line at librarydude1999 and we'll talk it out. We'll figure it out together, okay? But the cons and pros of Gmail, the pros are it includes private messaging features. It's got wonderful spam protection so that your inbox is only actual email and not all that junk mail that we were talking about. It gives you 15 gigabytes of mail for your emails and other files. But bear in mind, remember from my Google Chrome class, that includes everything that's on your Google Drive account. So it's a lot, but it's not as much as you think it is. It integrates closely with other Google services like Google Drive and Google Play. On the downside, it can be slow to load. Like if your internet connection is slow, it'll say something's not right, and you'll have to load it again. And this is what I was talking about before. Dealing with folders and labels can be confusing. So that's the very thing I was talking about. So anyway, that's Gmail. The next one is Outlook. which is offered by Microsoft. And this is what an inbox looks like from Outlook. Okay? Again, you got the same setup. Oh. Outlook is the same setup. You've got new message. This is to make a new email like compose or the plus sign. You got favorites, which is stuff that you want to look at. You know, that's stuff that is important to you. You got your folders. Now, this is where it's a lot better than Gmail, I think. You got your inbox, got everything in it. Drafts folder, your sent items, deleted items, junk mail. You can archive stuff, notes, and all that. You can make folders easy enough. And again, to search for an email, instead of looking through everything, you can just type up there. And it's just really, you know, it is pretty good. Now, the pros, of course, it's well organized. It's very safe. Now, one thing you got to remember, a lot of viruses have gone through Microsoft's Outlook account, email service before. They've gotten very vigilant about the phishers and the spammers and all that. So it's pretty safe. It's still working on some stuff, and we can go into details with it if you drop me a line. The email editing and all that stuff, it's very good. It's no problem. If you're familiar with Word or anything like that, you're not going to have a problem. You can easily add add-ons to the service. They got different features that it offers. The only bad thing is it costs, because if you know how it is now with Office, you have to create an account and you're going to have to pay for it. It's part of the Office 365 deal. It's not like free, like a lot of the stuff is free. If you go online and look, I'm going to do that after I give this presentation, and we'll see if it actually costs. But, you know, it's part of that package with Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all the other stuff. We are going to actually have classes in those, and I may even try a class in Outlook now that we use it for work. But anyway, the system requirements, it's got certain things that it works good with. For instance, it's really good for anything that's done with Windows computers. But if you try to use a Mac or a Linux computer with it, you don't get a lot of support, okay? And the integration, it doesn't do well when you try to incorporate Google Calendar with Outlook. And a lot of it is there's too many functions for it. A lot of people have complained because it's got so much going on that it's kind of hard sometimes to navigate, okay? I mean, it is well organized. I like it a lot better than I thought I would, but it's just my own opinion about it, okay? Yahoo. Now, let me tell you that story again about Yahoo. When I went from overseas and I came back home, I kept getting rejected emails from my Yahoo account, because that's the only one, that's the first one I ever had. Well, I got so fed up with it because 3 times this happened. People hacked into my Yahoo account. That's when I went over to Gmail. But what happened after Yahoo had this problem with its security, they beefed up their security, and they almost went too far with it, in my opinion. But it's very secure. You almost have to use a phone now to get into it, but it's a double security, and they've improved a lot. I like them a lot better, but that's why in these classes you'll see me lean so heavily into Google, to Gmail. But this is what a Yahoo inbox looks like. It's like I said, you've got right there the compose button to write an email, the inbox, you know, all that stuff. Look for your email in that little box at the top. Okay? And by the way, this box right here, if you want to delete a bunch of emails at once, you check that box, and all of these boxes will get checked. And whatever you want to do, if you want to move them, or if you want to delete them, that's going to happen. Or if you want to just do it individually, that's what you do with them. And this is, you see how it says spam? It doesn't have the filter that Gmail has to put it as spam. It just shows you everything, and you have to make a filter yourself. But if you check that box and put it as spam, it's going to be regarded as spam from now on. So anything that's sent from that will get sent to your spam folder. So anyway, the pros and cons of Yahoo. It's got tons of email storage space. It lets you make hundreds of free disposable email addresses. So don't worry if you think you just have one email address. You can make as many email addresses as you want with Yahoo. It's got built-in GIF database, which is that moving images. It's used for images on the web which use lossless compression that does not degrade the quality of the image. That means sometimes it's like distorted sound on a radio, or maybe how my voice sometimes sounds on the internet. It keeps the image good for you if you're sending an image through Yahoo. And using Yahoo Calendar from the email area is easy. You only got one option though for the email domain. It's always at yahoo.com. Local files can be used for attachments, but not files from online storage services. So you can't, like if you have something on your Google Drive account, you can't attach it from that to a Yahoo email. It doesn't have as many filters as other email providers have. So that's the downside of using Yahoo. And then we've got Zoho. And Zoho it's a newer email client, a newer email provider. It's got the inbox, again, it's sort of the same. I don't see a search box on there for when I go. That's just the welcome, and maybe I got to have more than one email in there to search. But you've got your inbox, new mail, drafts, templates, so you can actually have something that's pre-made for you, so you just can fill in the blanks or write over the words, spam, solar, and you can tag things by the notifications and newsletter. You can make notes. There's your contact list, bookmark stuff. Oh, there's your search for your mail right there at the top. But you see how they're basically very similar in their organization. Okay. Oh. Okay. I was going to show you the pros and cons, but if I can get there. Okay. Zoho works well for Teams. It supports tabbed windows, which the interface makes it super easy to reference a number of emails when crafting a reply. Connects easy to other Zoho apps. The design is clean and minimal, like Protonmail. It supports email filters. The downside is all the other Zoho apps that are connected might be overwhelming. It's got so much to offer. But it's primarily centered around business use. So that's probably why it's lean and mean. But anyway, that's Zoho. Getting organized. Again, I'm not the best in this. But one of my favorite things to do is to search in your inbox for stuff. It's like pulling a needle out of a haystack, a rabbit out of a hat. Just search your email for anything that you know about that email that you're looking for. Anything at all. From the person who sent it to what it's about, and then you'll pull it up. Like if I'm doing EEF News and I click that, it goes from all that there that you see below where it says EAF News to all of that. And then you can filter it further with saying it has an attachment, or if it's sent to, or it's unread, whatever. Okay? That's pretty handy. If you check the select box, if you want to select everything that comes up, again, just like I showed you before with Yahoo, if you check that box, everything that you have, you check that, you can send it to wherever you want to file it to, or if you want to delete it, just check that box. And this says, if I want to send just these particular emails to this folder that says EEF News, I just check those boxes and I say send to that folder. To retrieve a document or a picture from a received email, you click on You look for the ones that have the little paper clip by it, remember? And then you hover your mouse over the picture. You'll see a preview of it. And you can send it to Google Drive. You download it by clicking that down arrow. And there's a picture. Uploading a document or a picture to an email. You click Compose or New. You click the paperclip. And just as a word of advice, I click the paperclip. I try to attach the file first because many times I've sent out emails to people and say, "Dear sir or ma'am, attached to an email, this email you'll find this document." Well, guess what? I forget to send the document. I'm so anxious to send the document that I actually forget to send what I said I'm just sent. So I click that little paperclip first before I put anything in the to or the subject box. Remember, the subject box, it's important to put whatever it is that you're sending so they'll know what it's about. But once you click that, you double the paperclip, you get to the file, you double click on the file or just click open. You wait for it to load, and then you click send. Okay? I know I did this before in my last class. I'm doing it again for you guys, just so that you can see how to do it. Because a lot of people, that's what they want to do. They want to compose and send an email with an attachment. Click compose. Click the little paper clip to attach the file. Double click on the file itself. Wait for the file to load. And you see how when it's blue like that, that indicates that it's actually attached, loaded to your email. And then you click send. And last but not least, the address book. To add a new contact, you simply click New Contact. You can import contacts from another email account. You can fix duplicates, and you can sync your contacts with your phone or your computer. Syncing is just mean everything's on the same page. But if you click New Contact, you just click here. This is with Google. And even if you don't click New Contact, Google's going to remember it for you if you send it a couple times. So if you're sending a bunch of stuff out to, hopefully, librarydude1999@gmail.com, then it will remember it after like the third try. Okay? Any questions? Okay? Now that you don't have any questions, I want you to email one of your friends or family and tell them how much you learned today. Don't forget, if you have any questions, just email me at either g.conwell@harrison.lib.ms.us or librarydude1999@gmail.com. Thank you, and stay tuned for next time.